Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched, first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. Today we are stepping onto the diamond, or at least the place where the diamond was born. Joining us is a man whose name is synonymous with the crack of the bat and the smell of the grass. For those who may somehow not know who you are you?
Well, hello there, Calvin. I'm Alexander Joy Cartwright, though back in the day, most of the boys just called me Alec. Some folks today are kind enough to call me the father of modern baseball.
It's an absolute honor, Alec. Let's go back to the very beginning. When and where were you born?
I was a New York City boy through and through, born right there on April 17th, 1820.
And what was your given name at birth?
My parents named me Alexander Joy Cartwright Jr. I carried my father's name with a lot of pride.
Is there a story behind that middle name, Joy? It's a wonderful name.
It certainly is. It was a family name, but it always felt like a bit of a mission statement for me. I've tried to find the joy in everything, whether it was a well-played game or a new adventure across the ocean.
I love that. So what was your hometown like growing up in New York back then?
Oh, it was a bustling, growing place. I grew up around the Lower East Side and the Flatiron District. It wasn't the forest of skyscrapers you see today. It was full of docks, markets, and open spaces where a kid could actually run around.
And what was your family life like?
It was a full house. I was one of 7 children. My father, Alexander Sr., was a merchant sea captain, so we grew up with stories of the sea and a real sense of the world being a very big place.
What kind of kid were you? Were you the one always organizing the games?
You caught me. I was definitely active. I had a real passion for stickball and any game that involved a bit of competition and a lot of running. I was the kind of kid who couldn't sit still for long.
What were your biggest fears growing up?
Coming from a shipping family, you always worried about the economy in the sea. When the Panic of 1837 hit, it was a scary time for everyone in the city. It forced a lot of us to grow up fast.
What did you dream of becoming as a child? Did you want to follow your father to sea?
I think every boy in New York wanted to be a captain at some point, but I found I had a knack for organization and numbers. I dreamed of being successful in business, but I always wanted to keep one foot on the playing field.
What were some of your favorite activities in school?
I enjoyed my studies, but if I'm being honest, I was always looking out the window waiting for the bell to ring so we could get a game of ball going in the streets.
I think we can all relate to that. What was your first job?
Because of that economic panic I mentioned, I had to start working at 16. My first real post was as a clerk at Coit & Cochran, a broker's office right on Wall Street.
Was there a moment where you realized you were different from everyone else?
I don't know if I felt different, but I realized I had a very orderly mind. While others were just playing games for fun, I was the one thinking, wait, if we stand 90 feet apart, the game works better. I liked finding the structure in the chaos.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
Joining the Knickerbocker Engine Company number 12 as a volunteer firefighter. It felt like just a way to serve the community and hang out with the guys, but those were the men who eventually became the Knickerbocker Base Ball Club.
Talk about a spark. What was your biggest break?
I'd say it was that September day in 1845 when we officially organized the Knickerbockers and put my rules down on paper. We decided to make it a gentleman's club, and that structure is what really let the game take root.
What were your biggest struggles before that success?
Just finding the time. I was working long hours as a bank teller at the Union Bank of New York. Bankers' hours back then weren't as short as people think, and we had to scramble to the fields at Elysian Fields in Hoboken just to get some light to play by.
Did you ever consider quitting the game?
Never. Life got busy, especially when I headed west for the gold rush in '49, but I carried a ball and a book of rules with me the whole way. I played ball across the plains and even in the mountains.
Were there any specific daily habits or routines that you feel were essential to your success?
I was a big believer in staying active and being organized. I kept a diary of my travels, and I think that habit of recording things, whether it was a journey or the rules of a game, helped me leave something behind.
What job would you have had if the fame of being a baseball father never happened?
I probably would have just been a quiet businessman or a fire chief, which I actually was in Honolulu. I love the fire department.
What was your life like before that fame took off?
It was the life of a hardworking New Yorker, working at the bank, volunteering at the firehouse, and spending every spare second with my wife, Eliza, and our children.
How did relationships change after the Knickerbockers became a hit?
It brought us closer. It wasn't just a game, it was a social circle. We had dinners, we had trophies. It built a real brotherhood among the men in the city.
Did fame bring you happiness?
I didn't feel famous in the way people do now. My happiness came from seeing the game played properly and seeing my family thrive in Hawaii. That was my true joy.
What was the downside of being such a pioneer?
Sometimes people wanted to play the old, rough way, soaking the runner by throwing the ball at them. It took some convincing to show them that my rules made for a faster, more professional game.
What misconceptions did people have about you?
For a long time, people thought some fellow named Abner Doubleday invented the game in a cow pasture. I was just out in Hawaii living my life, not realizing there was a big debate about it back home.
What was your darkest moment?
The journey across the country in 1849 was incredibly difficult. Leaving my family behind to seek a better life in the goldfields was a heavy burden, and the trek was dangerous and exhausting.
What past regrets did you carry that you spoke about?
I don't know if I'd call it a regret, but I always pushed for more inclusion. When we founded the library in Honolulu, I fought hard against the rules that excluded women. I wanted everyone to have the same opportunities for learning and play.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
My father for his sense of adventure, and the men of the Knickerbockers who trusted my vision for the game.
What was life like in your final years?
It was wonderful. I lived in Honolulu, served as a financial advisor to the royal family, and was very involved in the community. I was independent, well-respected, and I got to see baseball become a favorite pastime in the islands.
What were you working on in your career before you passed away?
I was still very active with Cartwright and Company, dealing in real estate and insurance, and I spent a lot of my time at the Honolulu Library.
When and where did you pass away?
I passed away on July 12, 1892, right there in Honolulu.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
I was actually the first board director of the Honolulu Library and Reading Room Association. I loved books almost as much as I loved baseball.
What was your most unique habit?
I used to draw the baseball square, the diamond, in the dirt with my umbrella to explain the rules to anyone who would listen.
What was your favorite food?
In New York, nothing beat a good oyster. But after years in Hawaii, I grew very fond of the local fruits and fresh fish.
What was your favorite book?
I read widely, but I had a particular fondness for history and travel logs.
Did you have any known rivalries?
Only on the field. We had some spirited matches against the New York Nine, but it was all in the spirit of the game.
Tell us a story nobody talks about.
Most people talk about the rules, but they don't talk about the uniforms. We were the first team to have them. We wore blue wool pants, white flannel shirts, and straw hats. We looked quite sharp, if I say so myself.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
Set your bases 90 feet apart. Give yourself room to run, but keep the structure. Be fair, play hard, and always remember to enjoy the game.
Alec, this has been incredible. Do you have any closing remarks or stories you'd like to share with our listeners before we sign off?
Just that I am so happy to see how many people love the game today. It's more than just a sport. It's a way to bring people together. Thank you so much for letting me tell my story one more time, Calvin. It's been a real home run.
Thank you so much for joining us, Alec. It was amazing to hear how the game we love today started with a few friends and an umbrella in the dirt. And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.